Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tarkov, where we discuss all things Escape from Tarkov. I'm the EarLegAthlete here with.
Hey Dizzle.
So how's your week been, man?
Not the greatest. I've been sick all week, but besides that, not too bad.
You gotten any Tarkoving in?
I mean, I've played a few hours, couple days, but I haven't been staying up playing like I normally do. Keeping up with the news and stuff though.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. We've got the results of the in-game survey on the flea market.
Yeah.
There's a good bit
really
of
cool how they did that.
yeah. I was glad to see it. They had started one on X, and people were like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, do this in game so we just get players."
Right. You don't want a bunch of people who don't play the game deciding what the game's going to be like.
So, Jesus. So the first question was, do you find Escape from Tarkov gameplay more engaging with the flea market closed? I was kind of surprised to see more people vote yes on this. 48.5% of people said, yeah, it's more engaging with the flea market closed. 31% said no, and then 19.7% said not sure.
Yeah.
It just kind of threw me off a little bit. I expected more people to just be like, no, we want the flea market, you know?
Yeah. I could tell which way the wind was blowing though. Like everywhere you looked, a lot of people were like, "Hey, this has been great not having the flea market." It was like everyone was kind of leaning that way. At least everybody in the circles that I'm in, you know what I mean? Even outside of my circle though, everybody seemed to be favoring the longevity of not having a flea market. Like just how much it made the game feel fresh again, and it just seemed like even if they weren't for like no flea market, they were at least recognizing the positives that it provides, not being there.
Yeah, I mean, it forces you in raid a little bit more. It forces you to think of like ahead on tasking. Like gunsmith is crazy because of the amount of stuff you have to pick up and try to hold on to, and like
Right.
looking for the certain things, certain attachments is always fun. But then there's the other side of it for your gear. Like that gear fear kind of set back in for me a bit. I was kind of like, oh shit, like what do I don't want to use these level 6 plates yet. I don't want to lose this yet.
Right.
I don't want to lose this gun now that I can't rebuild it. Like
Yeah, that was kind of just added the feeling of, like the struggle that you need that feeling in Tarkov. Like you don't need the reassurance of the flea market,
right.
especially early wipe. It's like it takes away the nervousness or the tension of the game, It's like
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you just know you can turn around and rebuy everything each raid, you still don't want to die, but at the same time you're like, well, if I do, I'll be fine,
Yeah, it's not the
If
worst
you
thing in
if
the world. It's easy enough to just
yeah,
reset and go.
if you're only
And
using stuff that you find, that matters because you're like, well, shoot, I only have 2 of those. If I lose this one, then, I don't want to run my
can't
last
run
one
the other one.
immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it just adds that extra tension on top.
For sure. I found it funny how quickly I sold everything that I was holding on to. It was taking up space in my stash as soon as the flea market was available, and I went and I bought ammo cases. I got a weapon case, a second weapon case. I bought a second junk box, and just grabbed med cases. Then I got rid of all the meds that I'm never going to use now, and I bought a bunch of Calic Bs and all the stuff that I know I use, and it just instantly turned into, oh, okay, well, this is kind of just took away a lot of that fun I was having with the early wipe.
Right.
A little too much, I think, too. Like a restriction to things on the flea market wouldn't be bad. Again, I don't know what kind of restrictions or how, like, but I think we saw enough with seeing how much fun, how much stress, and how much tension could be added back into the game with no flea market.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
there has to be a balance, like, and right now it's not balanced properly. Like it's too much
right.
availability of all items.
Yeah.
There's still a few things that obviously in the community even voted that way on some of these polls where, there's still a few things that people want access to, such as keys and,
Well, yeah, that was the
mission
next one we were
items.
getting into. That's funny you said
Yeah.
that. What major
So it just
challenges
makes
did you
sense.
face when the flea market was closed? This was the next. So they can kind of
Right.
try to figure out what it is that would help people, obviously, at least, that would help people get through it if there were no flea market at all, is the way I was looking at it, the way I read the question. Like, okay, so what was the hardest thing for you to get? What do we need to focus on balancing out the right way for you to make sure
If
that
we do
you're
keep flea
able to do
market
this
out.
stuff? Yeah, exactly. So the inability to purchase keys needed for quests was 26%, the highest. That's the problem right there, the keys. And then the requirement to find and raid for items in hideout.
Yeah, that was a big one too, at 20%, almost 21%.
Yeah, 20.9.
And that didn't surprise me because a lot of people, I felt like more people were upset with that change than the flea market change. Like it just seemed like all you heard was people talking about how they didn't like the fact that you had to find in-raid items for their hideout. They liked
Yeah.
the flea not being there, but they still, which it kind of goes hand in hand, because if the flea's not there, you're gonna have to find everything in raid anyways, pretty much.
Well, yeah, but
Like,
at the
yeah,
same
you can
time,
die
it's
with
like
some
when you
stuff
get the
sometimes.
LEDX and then you die, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. You can
finally
die
found
with some
LEDX
stuff,
on
but
woods and you die, and it's like, oh well, I can't use that in my hideout anymore.
right,
So that kind of sucks. I understand that completely. Maybe even do it like that, like those big items, GPUs, LEDXs, stuff like that. They could put those on. Just you have to find, you have to have it, or maybe they
right.
change the way found in raid works. Like you found it in raid, even though you died, it's in your secure container. You did find it in raid. Like that's maybe something along those lines. I don't know. I think there's, but I found it pretty interesting too. That was the second option.
Yeah, I almost think that would be a good change if they made it to where anything that you put in your secure container, whether you die or not, it's still found in raid, because you still found it in raid. Like it
Yeah,
should be
exactly.
found in raid. Because yeah, you didn't survive, but if you didn't go into that raid, you also wouldn't
You
have
wouldn't
that.
have
So
that
yeah,
item, right?
like I get what they're trying to do, and I know they had a lot of issues with basically people going in with absolutely nothing, running in completely naked and just throwing everything that you could find immediately in your secure container, and then just dying, not caring whether you died or not, because you got the big ticket items. That was the whole reason of making that not found in raid, so you couldn't sell it on the flea market.
Right.
But now that you can sell anything and everything on the flea market, it doesn't make sense. Like, you might as well just leave it found and raid. Because hatchet runners were a problem for a while. Like, it really was. Like, you would run into just nonstop
Yeah.
hatchet runners.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. You're right. You would just see a return of that again, wouldn't we?
Well, I don't know, because like I said, right now it's kind of like, since stuff doesn't have to be found in raid to sell on the flea, it kind of is.
Balancing itself
It's
out in a way
well, yeah.
because
Well,
you
it's
don't
like
see it a lot now. And if
it
they
doesn't
can
make
still do the
sense.
same thing to make their money, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that was
Right.
the whole reason
Yeah,
before that
exactly.
things
Cash.
weren't found in raid, was because you that way you could sell them. But now that it doesn't matter if they're found in raid, at least for the selling on the flea, it makes no sense. You might as well just let things be found in raid. If
Right.
you're going to leave it that way, which they might not, they might change it all up. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
if they're
it's
going to keep
possible.
it the way it is, and you're going to be able to just sell anything and everything on the flea, but that also comes to the next problem, because everything in your hideout has to be found in raid. That takes the value of so much stuff that's already on the flea market. It takes the value down because there's no need for it. If you
Right.
can't use it to build your hideout, well, then why are you buying it off the
What's the
flea?
purpose? Yeah.
Yeah.
Finishing out your Bitcoin farm for GPUs. Okay, well, you only need so many of those. There's not a concurrent, there's not a steady enough market for it now.
Right. And the only reason
The only
that's even
thing that
there is
maintained was
because
LEDX.
yeah. Yeah, and the only reason the GPUs are still usable is because everyone was like, well, wait a minute, like I have to find all these GPUs. So BSG reverted it and was like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
you can use non-found in RAID GPUs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like it just, I don't know. There's so many different angles to it.
There are. That's the thing. It's such a multifaceted game in so many different ways that it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to balance everything with one fix. It's like a bunch of micro fixes to make a major band-aid.
But this is a
Um
great first step right here.
yeah, yeah. Just getting this kind of information from the players to the devs in a smooth, easy transition without people just screaming, fix the game. That's
Right. No guessing on
right.
their end of what they think the player base wants. You can get a legit feel. Yeah, it's still not going to be exactly, perfectly represented, but you're going to get a legit idea of what the player base is wanting.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'll just rattle off the rest of these real quick. Just the inability to purchase equipment items at 11%, difficulty completing in-game quests at 11%, inability to craft certain items at 11%, inability to purchase medicine and ammunition at 11%, did not encounter any issues at 4%, did not play when the flea market was closed at 2%. So That's understandable. I did see a few people saying that, like, oh, I'm not playing until it's open. I like the flea market.
Right.
That's my thing. And that's okay. We get that. Did not encounter any issues. I'll be honest. I clicked that, and then I realized that I was like, wait, that's not what they meant. So I changed my answer really quickly, and I went back to
Yeah.
I did inability to purchase keys needed for quests because that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing.
Found in raid item for hideout upgrades and difficulty completing in-game quests just for like certain items being, again, it was more quest related shit.
I think that's big though. The
I feel
did
like,
not encounter any issues is only at 4%.
yeah,
That tells them a lot right there.
yeah, I think
That tells them
that,
it needs to be refined.
right, right. I think it's low enough of a number to tell them exactly, like you just said, yeah, the things are not okay.
Yeah.
And then we have, what changes would you make to the flea market system? And before we even go over the biggest one, what would your change be to the flea market?
It took me a while to answer this one.
Yeah, me too. I was stuck on it for a while.
Yeah, because I wanted to be honest about it. I didn't want to just throw something down, because it's something that I do care about.
Right.
And it's something that, I've went back and forth on also. Like sometimes I love the fact that, I don't need found in raid, and then other times I appreciate the fact that if you don't go in raid, then, you can't do anything. Like, yeah, you can still barter. And that's the thing. If they throw in a bunch of other barters through the traders, that
Right.
kind of fixes the found in raid thing. Because you can just barter, a good amount of items and get some nice stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they would do that. But anyways, it's such a difficult decision. I still honestly don't know. I don't know if I could make like one change. I'm still not sure what it would be.
Yeah, I don't think there is just one change either. I think it's a few things that need to happen. Found in raid probably shouldn't. I don't know. Okay, so
it's hard.
There's a lot of stuff.
I can answer one thing. This is one thing I would do for sure. I would keep with the current theme of limiting the high value stuff that's available on the flea. I would further increase that, especially at the beginning of the wipe.
Right.
Like I think I'm fine with that. Like that makes the game feel better. But
sure.
as far as like all wipe and then like a permanent thing, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. I think for me the most important thing I would like to see, or not most important, the thing I would like to see is like a time gated flea market. So like, sure, base flea market unlocks at level 15. You're allowed to sell items, this, that, and the other. You're allowed to, buy this, that, and the other. But at level 30, it unlocks further. Well, no, you can't really do that either because the people that race out ahead, or maybe they instead of level capping it, like I originally started to state, was time gating it. So month 1, you get your basic flea market open and running for everyone. You can buy and sell, limited items. Month 2 to 3, they open it up to a little bit further extent, allowed to start selling those higher tier items like Lidex's GPUs, things of that nature, and then uncap it, or not necessarily uncap it, but take a few more restrictions off towards the end of the wipe, or even all restrictions off at the end of the wipe. I think that there's probably maybe a way they could get it. Again, I'm not a game developer. I'm not I don't do this kind of stuff, so it's like, this is just me as a gamer, what I think could potentially work, maybe. And I don't even know if that's the right answer, because the time gate, kind of like, as I'm saying it, doesn't sound the best, but it also doesn't sound horrible.
No, it doesn't sound horrible. Like this, the way they did it this wipe was pretty cool. How they extended it a couple more weeks. Like, I think that's didn't they extend it 2 weeks, or was it 1 week?
So yeah, it was like 2 weeks after release, and then I think they went like another week. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like 3 weeks. Like I like that. I really did. But here's the question that I'm always asking myself when I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, what is the point to all this? The point that I at least feel like I hear from most of the community is that they don't want people to have a ton of money. Like that's the whole reason that they want stuff limited.
Makes sense.
And if you don't want people to have a ton of money, why is that? What does it hurt if someone has a lot of money? Because someone can go do a bunch of scav raids and have a lot of money, whether they're level 2 or level 20.
Right.
And is it what they can get with that money? Is it not the money itself, but the stuff that they can buy? Is that the problem?
Yeah,
Because
if
I feel
that's
like
the case, restrict it.
yeah, you're right. So it's like it's it's
Money
I think
needs to be more of an arbitrary system. It needs to be almost
yeah,
considered as a barter item, you know?
yeah, and I think it just needs balanced on both sides. The money side, what you can buy with your money, needs to be balanced, and I almost think it might be more important than the actual flea market itself. Because like I said, money's pretty easily made. You know, I know some people have issues with it,
Yeah, but I think that
but
comes down to just a lack of understanding of the
it
game yet.
well, and I think people who don't make money,
Just
it's
don't
just
care.
from they don't want to try. Like, because if you
Right.
try, you can make money.
Easy.
So, and if money's not the issue, if you can get money fairly easy, but at the same time, people don't want people to have a bunch of money, then there's something in between that there that it's just not an easy answer. There's something there that has to be fixed. It's gameplay, it's items that you can buy, it's a whole section that's kind of missing that we don't really think about, but that's really the problems. Like, it's not necessarily the flea market, it's what the flea market enables. It's not
Right.
necessarily the money, it's what the money enables.
Yeah.
So it's like that stuff just there needs to be some kind of balancing. I just don't know exactly what it is yet. Because I don't know if I want everyone to have worse items. Because I kind of like running the low tier stuff. That's fun. So does gear just need to be like only available until a certain time? Like you can't get anything over level 2 uh like armor. Like but even that doesn't fix it because then you have to
Right.
also balance the ammo
And
and
what
then you also
drops
have
in
to balance
raid?
the gun parts, and it's like that kind of eliminates one of the best things of Tarkov, which is you can just find
The
anything at any
randomness.
time.
Yeah.
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 So it's so difficult to answer.
It
It's such
is.
a
It
complicated
is.
issue.
It's a very
I'm
complicated
not
issue.
going to pretend that I figured out the best answer for it because I haven't.
Well, right. And I don't think that it's ever going to be like the best answer. I think it's just a bunch of answers, you know? And finding the right balance of all those answers that actually fit together, that actually fit together and work together, and you can coherently have a working system in place of the game, that works with the game and doesn't hinder it or enable people to go above and beyond where they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to be able to do. It doesn't keep people from going in raid, going in raid as PMCs, doing the tasks, doing the things. Like, there's got to be a way to balance enough of the issues at hand and to get the flea in a good place that people are okay with, so that the money grinders can still get their money and the people that just want to go in PvP can just like there's. I think it's a long process of finding the right give and take for just the right amount of each thing. And I think you were onto something pretty good with what you were starting with there. There's definitely solutions. I don't think there is just one though. No.
No. I just don't think that there's ever going to be a right way. Like
Right.
there's always going to be some give and take. Um,
Well,
that's
and you can
just
never make
being the type
everyone
of game.
happy.
Well, yeah, just being the type of game that Tarkov is, where there's random loot involved. It's never going to be able to be like policed to where this only happens. Like there's always going to be someone who feels cheated. There's always going to be someone who feels like they don't have access to stuff that other people do.
Right.
And there's always going to be different reasons for that, such as the time that you have to play, the experience you have in the game. Just there's so many factors. So it's like I just don't think there's gonna be that answer that everyone's like, oh, okay, like, I'm cool with that.
This
I
is
think
the
there's
fix.
always gonna
Yeah.
be
Right.
yeah, there's gonna be somebody upset no matter what you do. It's just trying to make the most people comfortable. And I still don't know the answer there.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to take a lot of these conversations and surveys and, just balancing it out and getting it right. And that's the beauty of the game being in beta still, is they have the time to work on that. Granted, we are getting close to that supposed 1.0 release.
Yeah.
But that just because 1.0 is out doesn't mean that they can't go in and change things
Right.
and tweak and fix things
Yeah.
how they see fit. Because I think that's going to be the case well after 1.0 release. I don't think we're looking at a truly finished product for quite some time.
No, I imagine there's still
At
gonna
least to
be
the point that they could be happy enough to leave it as is and just focus on other stuff,
right. Right. I don't think it's like, oh well, we hit 1.0, we can't go back and fix that. Like I think it's they're going to continue to adjust things. Nikita said as much. You know what I mean? Like he still plans on patching the game, addressing issues. Um, and there's like the other thing I keep thinking about. I heard this one person say, or I read a comment from one guy, and he said, when it comes to the flea market and everything, he said, I've been playing Tarkov. He said pretty much, since it was introduced, and he said we've had the flea market for so long now, and it's been, pretty much the same, and Tarkov's been fine. I don't think you guys need to change anything. I think you're just messing with something that shouldn't be messed with. I kept thinking back to that because I'm like, was that guy right the whole time? Like, is all this just like
Arbitrary.
shouldn't we not even? Yeah,
Yeah.
is there no reason? Like, is all this stupid? Like, are we just going to come to the same conclusion at the end that we were already at? But it's like, at the same time, it shows with the polls that people are ready for a change.
Yeah.
People want something new. People want something different. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, yeah, I get that because Tarkov, it has survived
There's
for
other
so
issues,
long,
right?
operating the way it was. Operating with the flea market the way it had been for so long. Like that was fine. People played the game that way for a long time and enjoyed it. Some people didn't, but majority of the player base was fine.
Right.
But
well, but I think it also comes down to too is like what Nikita wanted for the game versus what players want for the game. Like a lot of that balancing is still happening, it seems like.
well, and you just got to think most people were playing Tarkov for years and years. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
eventually people are going to get burnt out on thing. It's not like a normal game where, you play it for a couple years, then you're on to something else. Everyone who's playing
Yes.
Tarkov is probably at least at 4 or 5 years, you know what I mean? So it's like you're probably going to be ready for a change more than you would in any other game because you've been
Yeah.
doing it for so long.
Right.
So that's another one of those specialties about Tarkov that's like it doesn't really apply to most other games, but it does to Tarkov because everything you've been doing for so long in this
So
game.
long.
Yeah. So it's just like you're going to get burnt out on good features that
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be changed. You're just burnt out from, doing it over and over and over. Every time, you wipe the game, you're starting over and doing everything that you done the last time. And it's just like eventually that stuff wears on you, no matter how good it is.
Right. Well, and I think that's kind of a testament to the fact that it has been really good and it has worked really well. And granted, there are those low points throughout every wipe that this is bad, flea market this, things, right? And I think a lot of that again is like you said, people just playing for so long. But I think change is great for Tarkov. And I think every time that change happens and the player base gets a little upset and then we get right back used to it and we're falling in line and doing the thing, like now we're all vaulting and this and that and things change and it keeps the life cycle running smoothly. It keeps things, just more interesting, keeps people more active. I think change is a good thing. And as much as people probably don't want to see it, well, actually, I can't even say that anymore because we're looking at the numbers and people obviously want change. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's nice that they did this type of in-raid survey or in-game survey. In-raid, that'd be cool.
You have to walk up to a clipboard and start answering questions
without dying. Yeah, I only got to answer 2 of the questions and I got shot.
It's like, damn it, that dude's camping the.
Yeah, he's camping the poles. Oh, dude, that'd be wild.
It's like I can't find a clipboard or a pen, man. It's like I can't buy them on the flea. I got to find one somewhere before I can answer the survey.
Yeah, you get your I voted armband,
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we got to see a lot of information, and I think it kind of shows too that a lot of people are interested in what's coming next with it. I think a lot of people care enough about the game because we see so often that people just like, oh, whatever, it's done, it's fried, it's cooked. But then you've got people that are out here like genuinely answering these questions, and the player base that typically dislikes anything and everything BSG does is coming together to put some information out, and it's just kind of cool to see it.
Well, and it's like most of the people who are like so aggressive towards BSG, like with everything they do, I've also noticed a pattern. Once you like talk to them or you ask them to get serious about something, they usually try to act like, well, I'm just kind of playing a role. I'm just trying to be like that voice that tells everyone how bad it is. But it's like at the same time, they're not really that serious about it. Like it's usually like a
more
I don't
troll.
know. I don't understand. Yeah. I think a lot of that is trolling. So when you give something like a questionnaire that people can actually put down what they really care about, I think that's like the realest kind of information you're going to get because you're not getting like anyone putting on a show or trying to act tough or you're just getting
and
legit.
even those people that do those things, there's such a small margin of them because the vast majority of the game or the player base cares about the game.
Right.
So even when they do go in and they're like, let's troll, let's put these answers, it's like those
Well,
are those small percentages that don't really amount to much.
right. And even those people, a lot of times, like I said, they end up saying, I really do
How
care
they
about the
really
game.
feel. Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just, just trying to, keep it lighthearted. And I don't hate BSG. I'm just, they just need to, be able to handle some criticism. You know what I mean? That's usually the kind of people they are, where deep down inside, they're actually pretty much just like everyone else. They just, are always online, and it affects their ability to actually, just act
Always
normal.
online is it does cause
Yeah.
does cause people to act out in ways that they wouldn't do in, regular situations.
Yeah, you lose your filter
Yeah.
when everything
Yeah.
you do online, you don't have to,
No
face it. You
accountability
can just
for
say
it. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And if somebody doesn't like it, you just change your username and you act like you're
Yeah.
somebody completely different and you're this, oh, I'm a nice person now and I'm just gathering information so I can hate you. It's like cool,
Yeah.
dude. You run
That's
into them a
honestly
lot.
like it happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that's just another one of those things. So that's the survey. I think, like we've already both said, there's a lot of really good information there. There's a lot of useful information there. Let's go ahead and talk about the next thing. So Nikita he's been posting these little shorts to his ex, not daily, but pretty regularly. We're seeing them more and more. They're pretty cool. They give us little insights. We've been calling them NikiLeaks.
Oh, I thought you meant he was posting like little shorts that he was wearing.
Well, sometimes,
Never
but I
mind.
can't show that on here. Yeah, that's
Oh,
on
okay.
the
Yeah.
paid X. No.
Okay. Okay.
So he posts these little shorts and he looks really cute in them. So here's my laundry list of my favorite ones. No, they are little snippets of what they got going on in game, out of game with the Rizzy series, stuff like that. So you're seeing like clips from what we assume would be the Rizzy series. There's a few different things that happen in here that kind of tell you so, but there's the main thing is the new guns that they've got, whether coming at 1.0 and they're just teasing them now, or if they're coming with the next update or patch or whatever. We don't know, but we do know a few things are coming with that. There's the M4 platform 545. There's the new Scorpion SMG, and then there's also the new MDR that is speculated, and I think it's pretty accurately speculated, for multiple calibers. And if not, it might just be a new MDR build. I expect it doesn't make sense to have a new MDR build, but it does make sense to add one that's multiple caliber like they planned to do at the beginning. And, just kind of getting...
they just go 300 blackout MDR, which is possible.
Which is possible. That is entirely possible. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. But they gave us a snippet of the Scorpion.
Which Scorpion could also be multi-caliber if they're going that route now.
That's true. That's true. There's another snippet in here that I don't understand. It's in game. The map, I'm not sure. Yeah. Is this?
Yeah, I don't know.
What you call it? Oh, what's the place called? Shoot, on Shoreline, next to Shoreline. The new map. What's it called?
The new map. Oh,
it's coming. I'm like stuck right now. I can't.
Yeah, I blanked on it. You said it too quick.
The new Tarkov map that's coming.
Terminal.
Yeah, thank you. So with the new terminal map, I don't know what this is. There's a million and one speculations. It could be there's rocks there. That could be Lighthouse for all we know. This could be an updated Lighthouse. We don't know. What we do know is you see this bus move, whether it is because of, by the way, these are the in-store patches. We'll get back to that in a second. So what I don't know, because you don't see the wheel moving exactly. Are they just placing buses, or are they showing that you're going to be able to hop in the bus and back it up, or you pay somebody and they move it and you come into terminal? Like, we don't know, but it's definitely interesting, and there might be something there.
Yeah, and it could be an extract also. It could be like you can't get to this extract, but you can pay this guy and he'll move the bus and you can walk through the extract. Or it could be you have to find the key and you have to get on the bus and move it to get to the extract. Or
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's so many different possibilities.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's pretty interesting, and just getting a look at the detail on the map around it, I am extremely curious. It could also be an arena map that they're just building. Yeah. So try not to get too excited thinking it could be a Tarkov map, because we have seen in the past.
Why would they have a moving bus on an arena map? Like I don't see the reasoning behind that.
That's the thing. If I'm not sure
it is a moving bus. If it
right,
is a
yeah.
moving
If
bus,
if it is a moving bus, it's probably Tarkov. If they're just showing like bus placement and giving a quick map preview, it could very well be Arena, kind of like they did with that courtyard wall area when they did the new map.
yeah.
So it's take it with a grain of salt and speculation, but it looks more open and EFT to me. So I don't know,
Yeah. If
maybe
I had to
Arena,
bet,
but I
I would
think
bet that
Terminal.
it's an extract. Nikita already said that they were working on more. Um, how did he say it? They were working on more extracts that you could basically kind of
Interact with and
yeah
like do
interact. Yeah,
stuff
that's
with.
how I said
Yeah.
it. Yeah, interact. A lot of new extracts that you could interact with, or things you had to do to extract. They had been working on that. He said. And that was just this last Tarkov TV, he said that, so,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah, it kind of falls in line. That's why I was kind of thinking that too. It makes sense for it to be a Tarkov map. But yeah, so and then we get a look at Partisan again. Obviously, they're doing more of the well, I won't say obviously. To me, it's fairly obvious they're
Probably.
doing more of the Chronicles of Rizzy stuff. This is about where we were at with the story was, Partisan was kind of tracking Rizzy and them. Din, quote unquote, died in labs or at least got lit up in labs. So some stuff had happened and they were on their way out and we had seen a little bit of Partisan, blah, blah, blah. This kind of fits in line and makes sense with that. And they've been teasing enough of it that it's all started to look like Rizzy. We've seen a few characters from the Chronicles of Rizzy. But I do want to point out how sexy that buttstock is. The medical tape buttstock. I love that
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
Dude, that's
it
such
is,
a
it
good
is.
buttstock. Speaking of new buttstocks that are really good, the AK Evo buttstock is absurd. It only goes on
I
a
was gonna
couple
say,
AKs, but it is so good.
AKs have been getting some love with the butt stocks as of
It's
late.
deserved and it's been needed.
Yeah, it does, it does, fill a gap because so many times, like, it just wasn't worth building them. But now especially with that
Crazy
new
stats.
Evo,
Yeah,
dude, you can, like, insane builds with that thing.
I love it. I've been using it a lot. But yeah, so we get another look at Partisan. Pretty cool character. It's nicely seeing him because it's been I think I'm going on 3 weeks without running into Partisan now. Off topic again, but speaking of, I haven't seen the goons in a while, and I just need one more kill on Big Pipe, and I'm done with all
Can't
three of them.
believe that
Dude,
it's been
three
weeks
days.
that you've needed that, like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
for the last 3 days, I have nonstop hunted the goons. Aside from a couple labs runs just to offset some money losses.
But I
Um,
remember a couple weeks ago, we
it
did
was
that
constant.
raid on Lighthouse, and remember you got the big pipe kill, and you needed one more. You're like, "I just need one more," and
Yeah,
that's been a couple
it's
weeks ago.
almost a month at best, like maybe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Dude, it's been rough. I don't know what's going on. I haven't ran into Caban or Calante. I haven't ran into Sanitar. Like I've been on Streets map was kind of just I was tired of hunting goons and I went to run Streets for 3 or 4 raids. But like I've been to Shoreline, I've been Customs, been to Lighthouse, and they're not there. I don't know what's going on. I've killed Rashala like 4 more times, but outside of that, it's
Man.
been kind of crazy. But yeah, so we get another look at Partisan and the buttstock, and just his AK build, the 7.62. It's pretty slick. And then they're showing some kind of map design. Not sure on that. What it could be. It could be Ground Zero add-on based off the skyscraper. It could be Streets add-on for one of the sides that they're gonna split and make smaller. Maybe like we don't know.
Right.
It could also be Arena because they do sneak in Arena teases here and there, and this
Yeah.
could just be the exterior work of it's kind of smaller map from what I see. I see barriers kind of around it. So that's indicative of a Tarkov map as well. There's walls and barriers, so it's hard to say exactly, but some sort of tease for the game and map design. And then this is the new 545 AK. No, this is the new MDR. I apologize. We see Desert Tech MDR, so 100% MDR. MDR 001955. I don't know if that's relevant in any
I was gonna
way.
say, yeah, I seen the numbers on there, but I didn't know if that was just supposed to replicate like a serial number and not like a model number. I don't know.
this could very well be 300 blackout because it does look like a 556 ejection port.
Yeah,
But
that's what I thought. I thought it's definitely, and it'd be easiest to make the 300 blackout because it's not much different than the models that are already in the game. I don't know about the multi-caliber one. I don't know if it's got like, I imagine it's got quite a few different parts on it than the ones that are in the game, but not sure.
But yeah, it looks pretty interesting. And then we see, not 100% sure what that is, but more of Glueheart and his guys chasing Rizzy, I would assume, is what they're filming here. This was in the last episode, I think. A combat scene was taking place, and they were chasing after those guys. But yeah, we'll see on that when it comes out. But pretty cool. Yeah, so that was the NikiLeak for the day. We also have some new merch and stuff coming, it looks like. Pretty interesting. Then, let's see. We have some other things taking place that are more game related. So the audio, they did patch all known audio fixes or bugs. The BTR task line, I think people are still having some trouble with. They're getting bugs on it too, but I don't think I saw anything outside of the previous fixes for that, which were they moved Woods to constantly online BSG servers instead of local.
Yeah.
And then we haven't had any issue with the BTR task line.
No,
We've gotten all of our tasks. Everything's been working as intended. So I can't speak on the problem too much on that, but I still have ran into audio issues. And those are things that they're just working on fixing. Just bear with it, give it time. It's just one of those
new
things.
engine. I mean, well, not new engine, but updated engine. There's going to be new problems. It's just unfortunately the way it's going to go. To get to the final place, we got to go through all these issues and get them fixed.
But a pretty cool feature was added that I still don't know a lot about. I haven't messed with it too much. I did get it enabled, but I haven't like done a deep dive on it or anything. But DLSS 4, right?
Yes. Surprisingly, Escape from Tarkov was it was like ready for the patch. Like they had a patch come out the day that NVIDIA released DLSS 4. There was an update for Tarkov, which surprised me because Tarkov normally with stuff like that, they're way behind. It took them forever to get DLSS, and even though DLSS 3 has been out for a long time, Tarkov was still on DLSS 2.0.
Yeah.
And they have been for years. So it was surprising. I thought we were going to have to do a workaround because there is a way to work around for games that don't support it. But surprisingly, Tarkov is right there in the mix as a supported game on launch day. So that was awesome.
Yeah. And it seems like it's a good fix, or not a fix, but a good feature. It seems like it works well. It definitely is improvement. Yeah. It is oh my god, it definitely is an improvement.
Yeah, DLSS 4.0, just for anybody who doesn't know, basically there's a bunch of stuff under the umbrella of DLSS. You got ray tracing, you got frame gen, you got super resolution. On the ray tracing side, obviously Tarkov has none of that. It doesn't have path tracing, doesn't have any of that stuff. It also does not have frame generation. But the one thing it does have is the super resolution. And in DLSS 4, they switched the model from a neural network, which was like the CNN model, to a transformer model. Now, that's obviously, like stuff that is way out there. And if you want to know anything about any of that, you got to look. You got to look into it. It's not something that's well known.
And it's not easily.
And it's not something that matters.
Right.
Yeah, it's not something that matters. Basically, what that means though is the new model is better at upscaling the image. You don't get as much ghosting. You don't get as much
ghosting. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically what you're going to do whenever you turn DLSS on, it lowers the resolution of your picture and then it upscales it to your native image, and it uses AI to do that. And with this new model, the AI it is trained a lot better, and it works a lot better. The picture's a lot clearer, and it gives you the ability to, instead of always using like quality, which is going to cost you the most performance, you can downscale now to even balanced or performance or even ultra performance.
Yeah.
And still maintain a very good picture, and you're ending up with not only better performance but a better picture, a more clear picture. And it's a welcome addition to Tarkov. Tarkov being a CPU bound game, it's not going to do a lot for a lot of people because you're just always going to be CPU bound.
Right.
But the fact that this came to all 20 series NVIDIA GPUs and up, so
Yeah.
anything from the 20 series up, you can use this. And anytime you can gain a few extra frames in Tarkov, it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So it's just a surprise that it all was just like
Ready and waiting.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because normally it's not like that.
No.
But
No.
it's something we're going to do a video on, just showing exactly how to do it, exactly how to set it up. We'll have that out here soon.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice feature. It is an improvement for sure. I've been running it. It looks great. It runs fine. I have zero complaints with it so far.
But I'm just the fact that Tarkov was
ready
one
for
of the
it.
games
Yeah.
that had worked with NVIDIA to be ready for this. That's awesome. That shows
Huge.
that they've actually put effort into giving us a new feature for once. Now this gives us frame gen.
Yeah, frame gym. I want frame gym.
Well, and here's some news on that real quick. I just found this out. With the 50 series GPUs, they had a new frame gen, basically called multi-frame gen. Us people like me and you both with 40 series GPUs, we have frame gen. We just don't get the new frame gen, the new multi-frame gen. We do get a new type of frame gen, like a new, not even a new type. We get a updated frame gen. It's supposed to work better and it's supposed to give us more performance.
Right.
While maintaining a better, clearer, stable picture. But anyways, what's cool is there's this other setting in the driver that's called like stable frames or something like that. But what it is, it's a form of frame gen for games that don't have frame gen. It adds an extra frame in between your normal frames. So basically it's like a 1x frame gen.
Okay.
And it's enabled at the driver level.
Oh.
And it works for every game. Now, right now it's only out for 50 series, but NVIDIA already said that
it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming to 40 series.
Yeah, that's
40
huge.
and 50 series are both going to be able to use that. So Tarkov will technically have a version of
frame gen, yeah. But again,
now,
that's if you have the 40 or up series. 50 series currently, 40 and up soon.
Right. And AMD users, they already have this. I believe it's called Fluid Motion Frames, which is already built into their driver. So yeah, you guys, anybody using AMD, you already do have this. But this is cool coming to us 40 series users. We actually
absolutely
get something I wasn't expecting to get, and
that's like a bonus on top of buying a really good card. It's
I'm
pretty
curious
cool.
The fact that it keeps getting better, that's great. I'm always down for new features.
Absolutely.
I'm happy when it involves Tarkov. So
I mean it is cool. It's really exciting. I'm like sitting here kind of giddy about it. Like that's awesome. I didn't know about that. That's really cool that we're gonna have that soon.
I didn't either till earlier today.
Yeah,
I knew about it, but I didn't know they were enabling it for 4,000
40 series. Yeah. I was kind of contemplating like, do I want a 50 series card? But I obviously I do. I just don't know when. Probably not anytime soon. But
it's definitely not now.
No. Well, yeah, especially not now. There's almost no reason to. The last thing that I know I want to talk about is something that's been all around the community lately. How can you fix Lighthouse? Are there changes that can be made to Lighthouse, not only for optimization, right? Like we all already know that, but like to the physical map, to make it just a better map. Because as much time as I've spent on Lighthouse, I love the map. It's not great. Like it's not a good map. It has issues. There are things wrong with it. And there's a lot of choke points that are like you have no choice but to go through these areas anyways. And I understand that the map is meant to be kind of like a little oceanside area or seaside area, whatever you want to call it, and it's not meant to be some massive sprawling map, but I think there are ways they could make it a little more open and a little more accessible for traveling through and looting and kind of expand on a little bit without really changing the shape or size of the map.
Well, even just with the size and everything, like one of the biggest problems with Lighthouse, it's like a 3-lane map, kind of like a Call of Duty map where you have 3 lanes. You have your right side, your left side, and your middle. That's all you have. But the worst part on Lighthouse is everybody spawns on one end because they're not going to spawn anybody down by the rogues, down by water treatment,
Right.
because you can't spawn there because
Well,
you'll pretty much instantly die.
you do have
Like,
the spot above, like up on the mountainside. Like you get the one spawn over there,
yeah, you
over
do
by
get
the
that.
the pond. But that's one spawn
Right.
that's
But
kind of off on
like
its own. You have to travel
all the
back
way.
across the map to run into anybody, anyways.
Yeah, most people are spawning on the opposite end over by where the lighthouse is. Most people are spawning on that end of the map and heading towards water treatment. So you
Yeah.
got pretty much everybody moving in the same direction. So yeah, that's most maps aren't like that, but this map
Right.
is.
I think if so, I have a few different options that I've ran through in my head, just like things they could do. One of those is what, like Nikita said, what am I supposed to do? Lower the sea level and add stuff there? Well, yeah, kind of, maybe. I don't, that's not my like favorite response I have to it, but it's potential. Add a shit ton more of those little villas and stuff, like the seaside vacation villas. Add more housing like that, add more housing like hideout under landing stage. Drop the sea level like 15, 20 feet back and make another road through there, kind of on the other side, like between the sand and the rocks. Maybe add a roadway through there, put some houses there, some POIs and stuff like that. That's one option that I like kind of played with. The other
He said he
option,
couldn't drop the sea level because he said if he did that, then he would have to do it on
all the maps,
shoreline and
right?
yeah, basically,
Yeah,
well, any thing that's connected to that coast.
right. I mean, you could probably find a way around that to a degree, but I guess like depending on, but I understand that. But like,
You could just
that was his suggestion that I was just like, could it work? I mean,
you
yeah,
could just-
technically, yeah.
Just raise the land, just add more land.
That's
Like
true
you don't
too.
have to lower the sea level, just add more,
Put
land.
one big interconnected pier dock thing out there, even like just one big wide dock that you
Yeah,
can kind of work
there's
through. Like
ways
there's
around it.
options. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to just lower the sea level. Yeah.
Right. But like that was just kind of playing off of what he had said, and I was like, could it work? Yeah, I think so. I think you could add kind of like where hideout under landing stage, there's that road that kind of comes in just briefly. It's a dirt road now, and then there's the other dirt road that picks up on the other side of Dead Tree Rock, the big rock. They could like kind of finish that road out, expand the land out, lower whatever, they could do whatever, and then add just some housing, some POIs, some stuff to loot, maybe even take some of the rock features and move them around a bit. Like I feel like there's something you could do there to make it an accessible, traversable area, to add more spawns, to add new player spawns. The other thing I was thinking is where on the other side of chalets, the tall mountains that are kind of the border of the map, you could cut tunnels into there and kind of open up the other side of those rocks, just clear it out completely, use it as open space to put more spawns, more, new chalets, things like that. It would change the sizing and the shape of the map, and it would add more to the optimization side of it, but that's an option. Another option that I kind of like is where the co-op extract used to be or is if they just open up all that tunneling under there, like wide, clear out all underneath the mountains, and essentially add another area down there, maybe like a military base or something, and open up a few spots to come in and out of throughout the map, like in the rock sides, like, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a map designer. These are just things that I thought sounded like doable without really changing Lighthouse as, like entirely.
Right.
Even down in the village area, in the sunken village area, they could add a bunch of stuff in there, more houses, more stuff, just kind of to break it up a little bit, give people more things to loot through and go through. Maybe add a roadway from chalet, like somewhere around the chalet to area, the blue chalet, down into the village, just for another traversal option instead of just having to go through the rock path. I don't know. Again, I'm not a map designer, and I don't have great answers for this because I don't know shit about it. I don't know how much you can add before it starts really chewing into more optimization features and things like. Well, I don't know. There is a lot of dead space.
Lighthouse already is hard to run. There's already a ton of stuff going on. You got the rogues, you got the scavs. The rogues eat up a lot of the performance just because you got to account for them. A bunch of them on the roof at all times. Basically, it just puts a choke on your performance.
It does.
because Lighthouse shouldn't run that bad, but it does because you got Zerachi and Lightkeeper and all them in raid. Then you got the Rogues and all them in raid. Then you got your normal Scavs, all them in raid. Then you got your PMCs, all them in. So there's a lot of stuff going on in a small area,
Right.
and that causes some problems. One thing I've thought, and I don't know, I feel like there's no answer that it's going. There's no
Yeah.
way to fix it without making it worse, like performance wise. Like
Right. Right.
it's gonna run worse.
Yeah.
But what about moving the rogues? Not moving the rogues, but making water treatment the middle of the map. Add an expansion out past water treatment where the train yard and stuff is, and expand that outward.
Maybe
And
move the
basically,
rogues like middle right or something, like tuck them more towards path to shoreline. That way that you can still traverse through the map without dealing with them too much. But if you wanted to, you can, vary or go off to the
yeah,
right or something, like where that dead
give
space of
ways
behind those last two houses, path to shoreline, and then over to the like water side again, where
right.
the like all the ways up the mountain are. Like that would be a good place for rogues, I think, in that empty space there. Would players be okay with the map drastically changing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's voted as the most hated map. Like
Oh, that's
everybody
true.
hates.
That is true.
Everybody hates it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, and like I said, I don't even know about moving the rogues, just adding on behind them and just adding ways around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't move them, just expand the map behind them.
Yeah, that's true. If they
Like,
opened up the right side of Depot over to like car extract and open that whole area up, and then
yeah,
the mountains that you can't really go through
right. Open that all
over
up,
by building one or
and then
building three.
add a way along the coast. You know what I mean? Where you can just completely avoid them going along the coast to on the other
And get
side. You know
in,
what I mean?
get
Like,
into the backside. Yeah, and that would open up more player spawns again. Still, they could spawn over on that coast
right.
side. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would be a good option. That actually might be the best option because it seems like you're making them the least impact on the map.
Right.
Like you would have to change
Everything
the mountains.
stays.
You'd
Right,
have to add a
everything
spot
stays
over
pretty
here.
much the same. All locations, they don't have to do any reworks. They just have to add new paths to get through there. Add, probably a little bit, a little bit of stuff to each side just to make it where it's completely traversable without the
Right,
rogues
right.
aggroing you. But besides that, most of the stuff could stay intact, and they could just expand the backside by car extract. And even widen it out, you know what I mean? Make that
Yeah, for
part
sure.
a lot wider to where you have like not just a 3 lane the whole way. Like make that side of the map maybe a little more like a shoreline or something where it's got basically
Open pathing and you're free to
yeah, it's
just
got an
go.
open
Yeah,
area. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That would be cool.
I seen someone suggest that to Nikita, and he actually responded to it and said that he would have to look into it because they said I'm not sure what is supposed to be back there, and I don't know if it would interfere like with the actual like lore. Like, could you actually do that without messing something up? Like, is
Right.
something already supposed to be back there? If not, you should do this, do this, do this. And he said that's a good idea. He said I'll look into it.
Yeah, and I
So
I think that is a good idea for sure.
yeah,
Another option was on the backside of the map over at Southern Road, but that just was pretty much move Lightkeeper, add this whole chunk of area in here. But my thought to that was that you're not fixing anything, you're just adding more.
right.
Like if you move Lightkeeper over by Southern Road, right? Like off to the right backside of it, and then you just add a big chunk of land there. You're not fixing any of the problems that exist already on the front half of the
Right.
map.
The flow of the map is still
Yeah.
messed up.
I saw a few options or a few suggestions like that, just like, oh, add a road on the other side of this, and but we need more space if you want the center area expanded. You either have to add land on the left or cut out mountains on the right. There's just
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I think moving rogues, or not even necessarily moving rogues, but like you said a second ago, with opening this up on the back end and just making a traversable path on the far left on the ocean side, that would be a pretty reasonable option. That you wouldn't have to do a lot to. Pretty much
Well,
just add a chunk of land over that fills in that area and expand
it's
over
in
on
a
the
rough
right.
spot because basically Lighthouse is surrounded by shoreline, reserve, and woods.
Woods, yeah.
And then the other side is surrounded by the coast.
Right.
So there's really not a lot to work with.
There's
But when I
not.
do
You're
look at
limited.
a map of all of it, that whole backside after water treatment,
Yeah,
it
it's just free real
it
estate.
leads right into woods. There's not a lot of area back there because it connects right to woods.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the transit to woods is right there at car extract. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you are limited. You're just limited on options.
right,
Unless they said, "Hey, we're removing Lighthouse for a while," and just did a full rework and added a brand new map called Lighthouse. You know what I mean? That they gutted and
right.
reworked entirely. I think it's going to be a hard fix. I think it might just be one of those maps people don't like, and that's okay.
Well, what they could also do is they could just add a bit of woods to the other side of it. Like let you use a bit of the woods map too. Like just because there's another map there doesn't mean that you
Right.
can't use it for something.
Yeah.
It's
True.
like, yeah,
We
you would have
kind
to
of do
shut it
that with
off.
Shoreline to a degree, like to a small degree. There's some
Right.
overlap between the two maps. You could
Yeah.
expand it to a
Yeah,
degree and just say
already.
this is part of woods, and canonically for the lore it works. It's like, yeah,
Right.
I'm technically in woods right now.
When yeah, you can basically on the shoreline, you can run almost over to that police car on Lighthouse where you're running the path. That
Right,
police car that
right,
has the
right.
ammo.
Yeah,
When you're
you
on
can pretty well
shoreline
get
running
there.
to extract, you can almost get that police car. Yeah.
Yeah,
And vice versa. When you're leaving Lighthouse and running to shoreline, you can almost get all the way over to
I can
like where
get
you
to
first jumped down
where
on
I
that rock.
extract. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
get to that
Yeah.
point where we extract at
Yeah. So
from
that I mean
shoreline to lighthouse. Like
that
it's yeah,
does work.
that could be the
Um
best option, and they
Now
could
you might have to add a fence or something on woods just to keep the maps from actually, intersecting completely
put the
because
mines there, right? Like they have on woods
true,
to cut you off from lighthouse. Just that's the end point. Cut us off from woods with mines.
right? Yeah,
At
yeah,
least
there's ways to
for
do it.
like for butting up the maps and canonically and stuff like that. It could work. It could
Right.
definitely work. I think that might be one of the better options.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those things. It's just like a lot of small fixes maybe coming into play here. I don't know if there's just one answer, but that might be my favorite one yet. Favorite suggestion that
Yeah,
I've heard or anything like.
I think it's doable.
Yeah, because if you
Like
look at the area, like it's not some drastic change. Like you would just have to open it up a bit and add a few points of interest. That's where it gets kind of rough, I guess, is adding those extra traversal points so
well,
you can
that's why I
avoid
said you could put
rogues.
a fence up because if you put like other points of interest over on that side, then that means you also have to have those points of interest on woods. To keep that from happening, you put a fence up
Well,
and
yeah,
only
yeah.
put the points of interest on the lighthouse side.
Well, that's what I was more concerned with the traversal points. You would have to make some changes to the map to actually make it so people can travel through there while still avoiding rogues.
Yeah.
Like for it to flow
Yeah,
well, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have to open up some of the mined areas of the mountain or the coastline. You would have to add a chunk of land, like you said, and like you would have to make some changes to the map.
Yeah, there would have to be some major changes. But that's where, shaving off some of that mountain could come into play, making just a nice mountain path that's completely clear and open, wide, like a big section. And then you could also add some underground passages. Like that's where you could add, a key card or something that allows you to go underground and basically you can come up almost on the other side. Like
Come
that would
out
be cool.
through Jaeger's friend spot.
Yeah, that's already got some lore in the game. It's already got a
Yeah,
door right there that's sealed off. Like,
make it
and who
like a
knows? They could
mine
have
shaft
something.
travel or yeah. And you could even make wall. Well, no, because they're up on the roofs. Yeah, I don't know. I think it maybe underground would be the best choice for that. There are options
Well,
though. I think there are options
yeah,
is the main thing, and
underground
I
would
think
be
it's
cool
doable.
to a point because you can't make it a main travel because if it's underground, it's already going to be small. It's
Right.
already going to be confined, and you can't have everybody traveling through the same small underground
Well,
like
and let's be honest,
path.
it's just going to turn into D2 all over again.
Exactly. That's why you can't do it because it's just going to
Right.
be nonstop ratting, and then everybody just waiting down there on everybody to come. Like there'll
Yeah.
be no movement. It's got to be someplace that should be an option, but there should be like a free movement area up
Well,
above it.
I think like you said, shaving out a chunk of those mountains and just leaving up
Yeah.
the facade of the mountains essentially so that rogues can't shoot us and leave it open to where we can travel through there.
Right.
Add a bunch of trees and maybe a pond and let us go through. And then you could
And
even
then
do
along the
the shore
coast, you
side.
could
Yeah.
just yeah, you could just make it where the land is a little higher and you don't have to mess with the water level. Just add more land that expands over past where the coast is at the moment, just to
Yeah.
give you enough space to, move
Avoid
around
rogue.
and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's probably the best one yet. And again, it
Well,
doesn't change the core shape of the map. It doesn't like you don't have to move chalets, you don't have to move rogues, you don't have to do
right.
this, that, and
Yeah,
the
nothing
other.
has to change. None of
Yeah, you
the
just
groundwork has to
right.
be, rewritten, or none of the, story has to be changed. Like it
Yeah,
could stay
it's
pretty much the way it is. But I think that's something that's more than likely going to happen, because when Nikita has asked, what map needs the most work, that's always what people say. So I imagine they're working on it.
yeah, I would imagine so. It's in regards to Lighthouse map changes, there's a few other small things I would like to see changed. One really super annoying thing, and I know we're both stuck on it right now, is that damn Lightkeeper task to go kill 15 PMCs at the mountain pass on woods or around the mountain on woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to see that worked a little bit better. Maybe, kill 50 PMCs on woods or kill 20 PMCs at Sawmill or something like a more traversed area, so I don't just waste hours and hours sitting there walking around the mountain. Or make it
Right.
any target and make it 100 enemies, like something. Just
Yeah. But I
it.
get it. You know what I mean? Like I understand why, especially when it comes to PvE, a lot of the problems in PvE are
Don't
problems because they never intended for there to be a PvE.
right.
Like this game wasn't built around a PvE; it was built around PvP. On PvP, this wouldn't be a problem because you're going to have people traveling that area all the time. There's probably going to be a lot of in-game type stuff that needs readjusted, because you got Lightkeeper, which is in-game-ish. You got
True.
PvE, which was never intended. So it's like those two things colliding are probably going to cause a lot of issues. But the good thing is they have a team working on strictly PvE now that are probably addressing issues like that.
Do you think they would make a change on stuff like that specifically for PvE and just like change Lightkeeper tasking and stuff, or not necessarily tasking, but that specific task, or
Oh
there's
yeah,
probably a few
yeah,
others that are similar in Kate, to
yeah.
like the
I think
same
they would.
problem. You think they
I
would
mean, now that
change
they have,
specific things for PvE
yeah,
over?
I don't think they would change it, only in PvE, but I think they would change it to where it accommodates both game modes. You know what I mean? Like, I think
I
they've
feel like
already
even
done
on
that.
PvP it would be a pretty frustrating task because I just
Probably.
Woods isn't the most player heavy map, and
It's
it's especially late wipe. You don't see nearly as many bodies on Woods, and it seems like most of them there are down towards Sawmill trying to get Sturman. You always have your
but
your taskers that are just making their way through, and you're always gonna have people
well,
that cross through to get to extract and stuff. So that is the option, but
yeah, and Sniper Scab is up there. At Sniper Scab is always a hot place. I don't care if it's beginning of the wipe, end of the wipe, for whatever reason. Anytime I was up there, I would always find players. Like it didn't matter. Like there would always be someone else that came up there. So it's at least, one or two kills you would get every raid, like, which is better than what it is now on PvE, which is sometimes you're lucky to, see one, period.
right.
So it's like, at least on PvP, you know what I mean? Like I feel like everybody kind of travels through the area at some point, because you kind of have to traverse the map. On PvE, the a lot of the PMCs that spawn stick to one area. They don't really traverse much.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen on PvP. Everybody traverses. And
I
that's
think
kind of
even
like
just
this.
expanding that perimeter that you have for it a little bit would help a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you could bring it down to the bunker, or at least near the bunker on the backside of the mountain, the new bunker, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
just a little bit further left and right would open up a lot of options. Because I that's the other thing I've dealt with. I've gotten a few PMC kills in the area, and I've just not been close enough to the mountain.
Right.
Um, which kind of sucks. It's like, oh, he was right there. I should have either waited or tried to bait him or something. But yeah, I don't know. I know there are some frustrating tasks on both ends, and I know, like you said, they've got a team now specifically for PVE, so things like that should probably end up getting fixed and stuff.
Well, and they've always been known to change things like that. Anytime there's been a task that has people hung up, like they've always been open to
Yeah,
adjustments.
yeah.
It
Well,
happened
and
on
Lightkeeper's
Lighthouse.
still relatively new.
Yeah, but it happened on Lighthouse, where for Lightkeeper, you used to have to get uh so many kills on the bridge. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and you remember now they expanded that a lot. You know,
Right.
we were able to do it pretty easily because it covered not only
Both
the
sides from
whole all the way to the bridges that lead
yeah,
over to the rogues on both
yeah,
sides.
a massive chunk of
So
space.
and
Much
when
more
they first
doable.
introduced it, it was only the
Specifically the
bridge
bridge on the left
that went
side.
out. Yeah, that went out to
Yeah.
Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Like that was impossible, but they, changed it. So I have faith.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely get it fixed, or at least worked around a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to cover this week, I think. Which we did cover a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. That's pretty much it for now, unless we want to talk about hockey.
We can do it next week. There's a lot to go over with that one.
Okay.
I mean, we can just say hockey and hot chocolate go hand in hand, and
They do.
watching refs fight over umpire goalies is pretty cool.
It's just a great evening, family friendly, everything just great.
Well, in the pasta
Yeah, we'll leave it
there.
there. Well, we'll leave it there. We don't want to get too
Okay,
much into
yeah.
it because if we do, it's like we'll have nothing to talk about next week.
I just want to say the cheese on the pasta though. That's it. I'll leave it. But the cheese on the pasta, it's worth
Yeah.
going to a hockey for.
It is. Rigatoni's not cheap.
Like we could talk hockey for days.
We could.
Well,
But yeah, that's probably all we should say.
yeah, that does pretty well cover everything going on this week. We get a look at DLSS 4. We get to use it. I'm still excited to see the frame gen coming. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. That was news to me just now. So I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I knew it came for the
50 series.
5000
Right.
series, but I wasn't expecting them to make it available to the 40 series. But they
Not
did.
so soon.
That's right. Well, they said it's basically in the works already, so it should be coming pretty quick, which is surprising.
Yeah.
It's just that's not something that normally happens.
Right.
And I did look to see what the actual name of it. If you have the NVIDIA app updated and installed, and you go into graphics, you'll see a place that says driver settings that's underneath each game, and there's a thing. It's called smooth motion, and
Smooth motion.
right now it says RTX 50 series GPU is required to use this feature, but eventually it'll be opened up to 40 series, and the description uses AI to deliver smoother gameplay by inferring an additional frame between two rendered frames. Basically, that's frame gen. It's a low form of frame gen, so it'll basically probably get you, a nice chunk of FPS in Tarkov.
Pretty cool stuff. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's this week in Tarkov. I guess. Yeah. We'll end it there. Thanks for watching. We're glad you made your way here, and we hope you enjoyed. We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on these topics, so feel free to let us know down in the comments section. We'll catch you next week. See ya.